Hey guys, welcome to the studio. So this is going to be a fairly quick video. I'm just going to I'm just going to give like an update on how to better print Irene's rapier. I will touch on her lantern in a little bit, but that won't be the focus of this video because I still do not have plans to make it. I did 3D print her hand cannon. I still have not spray painted it yet, but that just goes to show how preoccupied I am with other projects. But anyway, we're just gonna quickly move into this. Now, this is a very good skill and thing to know about whenever 3D printing other props, especially swords or staffs that do not have an internal cavity for support rods. If you ever find those, or if you ever have to slice them apart, this is a very useful thing to know. It's not going to be applicable to everything because in order to do this, you kind of need to have the 3D model be like symmetrical in order for this. So something like the sword parts, this is very useful. But anyway, that's enough preamble. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Now for this sword tip here, I'm going to go ahead and import a rod. It can be any shape. You're going to modify it anyway. For this rod size, I'm going to set it to 8.8 millimeters in diameter for both, and then I'm going to just adjust the height. And this diameter is pretty much for 5/16 of an inch, or for 8 millimeters if you're going to go for like an aluminum rod, or otherwise the inch units, the freedom units, you can use those for wooden dowels. Relatively easy to find in a variety of stores. Now for its position, you're going to want to move it to all zeros. That way you can position it to the very center of the 3D printing bed. You're going to want to drag it down a little bit into the 3D printing bed, and then with the internal rod still selected, you're going to want to go to per model settings, click on that, go to modify settings for overlap, change infill mesh only to cutting mesh, and then select settings. You're going to want to select your wall thickness, your top layers, bottom layers, and then infill density, and then change all those values to 0. And then what that will do is essentially change this rod that you imported into a hollow cavity that will pretty much cut out the hollow cavity of your sword blade. And if we take a look at the various layers, you can see that it does indeed plan it out for it to print that way. And you can do this and print multiple sword segments if you want. All you have to do is just copy the rod that you would have and then adjust the height. So then each sword segment that you're printing in one go will be able to have the rod that you're hollowing out go all the way through. And then you're going to want to change each of those positions to the exact same per each model. That way they will set it so that the hollow rod will be in the direct center of each of those 3D models, and then you'll be good. Now if I show you guys the biggest piece of the rapier, pretty much the hilt area, thankfully this one is also symmetrical, and so you're able to get away with setting the positions all to 0, as well as the support rod, and then that way it'll be able to line up fairly well. Much like my first video on Irene's props, you're going to want to change some of the infills to a little higher. I would recommend around 20% infill and cubic for all the pieces, especially the handle part, the part with the handle and the hilt. That way it's a lot sturdier and able to withstand a lot more stresses that you might experience throughout the con experience. Now, the one tricky part is the actual handle itself. Because this is not symmetrical, you're going to want very specific settings. I had to print this a couple times in order to get just the right settings, but when you throw it into your slicing software, you're going to want to set it to 24.1 millimeters on the x-axis and minus 17.6 on the y-axis. That way, when your support rod is 0, 0, 0, you're still going to want it to set down into the print bed, so your z-axis will want to be negative. But anyway, that way it'll be fairly close to center. You can make some slight adjustments. You're going to want to, once again, increase the infill a little bit compared to what you might used to be. what you might be used to, and then have these overhang angle a bit less. That way it can definitely support these delicate little fringe thingies. Now, as for the lantern, I highly recommend having a direct drive extruder 3D printer. You're able to get a lot better quality and a lot better control. You know, your layer lines are just going to be a lot better with a direct drive extruder. Will I ever make the lantern? Maybe in the future. Right now I just don't have the time. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions, let me know down in the comments below. I would really appreciate it if you guys subscribe. I have a lot of projects in the works, and yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya!